There are moments in life when everything you've built, everything you've fought for, every sacrifice you've made, comes down to a single second. A single signature. A single word. For Harrison Caldwell, that moment arrived on a rainy Thursday morning in November, in a mahogany-paneled boardroom on the 47th floor of the Caldwell Industries Tower in downtown Chicago. He was 63 years old, silver-haired, exhausted beyond measure, and he was about to lose everything he'd spent 4 decades building. The vultures were circling. The papers were ready. The betrayal was complete. And he had no idea that his salvation would come from the last person anyone in that room would ever notice. A 26-year-old kid named Marcus Webb, whose father had mopped those very floors for 30 years. This is a story about power and invisibility, about who we see and who we ignore, about the brilliant minds hidden behind mop buckets and service uniforms, and about how sometimes the people we overlook are the only ones who can save us when everything falls apart. This is a story about the moment when Harrison Caldwell learned that intelligence has nothing to do with the size of your office, and everything to do with the size of your heart and the sharpness of your mind. This is the story of how Marcus Webb, son of Raymond Webb, the night janitor everyone called Ray, exposed the hidden clause that changed everything. Harrison Caldwell built Caldwell Industries from nothing. From absolutely nothing. People forget that now, seeing the towers and the empire and the billions, but Harrison started in a garage in 1981 with a welding torch, a dream, and a patent for an industrial valve system that would revolutionize manufacturing. He worked 20-hour days. He missed his daughter's childhood. He missed his wife's final years before cancer took her. He poured everything into building something that would last, something that would matter, something that would employ thousands of families and create real value in the world. By 2025, Caldwell Industries was a $3 billion manufacturing conglomerate with operations in 17 countries, employing over 12,000 people, producing everything from aerospace components to medical equipment. Harrison was proud of what he'd built, but he was tired, so tired, and he'd made the decision 3 years earlier to begin planning his succession and eventual retirement. That's when he made his first mistake. That's when he trusted the wrong person. That's when he brought in Everett Sinclair. Everett was 42, Harvard MBA, McKinsey pedigree, sharp suits, sharper tongue, and the kind of aggressive confidence that makes boards of directors weak in the knees. He came highly recommended by the investment banking firm that Caldwell Industries had worked with for years. He was supposed to be the future, the strategic mind that would take the company into the next generation, modernizing operations, expanding into new markets, preparing for Harrison's eventual exit. Harrison made him Chief Operating Officer in 2022, with a clear path to CEO when Harrison retired. It seemed perfect. It seemed smart. It seemed like the responsible thing to do. But Everett Sinclair wasn't interested in building anything. He was interested in taking everything. And he'd been planning it from the moment he walked through the door. The scheme was brilliant in its cruelty, methodical in its execution, and absolutely devastating in its impact. Over 3 years, Everett systematically positioned himself to execute a hostile internal takeover that would strip Harrison of control of his own company, transfer the majority ownership to a shell corporation controlled by Everett and a consortium of vulture capital investors, and leave Harrison with nothing but a ceremonial title and a fraction of the value he'd spent his life creating. Everett manipulated board members, secretly restructured debt agreements, created poison pill provisions that would trigger if Harrison tried to fight back, and most devastatingly, he'd gotten Harrison to sign documents over the past 18 months that Harrison believed were routine operational agreements but were actually contracts that transferred key decision-making authority and ownership stakes away from Harrison's control. Harrison didn't see it coming because he trusted Everett. Because he was tired. Because he'd been dealing with health issues, a minor heart procedure, and he'd taken his eye off the details. Because Everett was brilliant at making everything seem normal, routine, and in Harrison's best interest. The trap snapped shut on that Thursday morning in November. Harrison arrived at what he thought was a routine board meeting to find not just the board of directors but a team of lawyers, investment bankers, and Everett Sinclair sitting at the head of the table where Harrison usually sat, wearing a smile that made Harrison's blood run cold. The presentation took 45 minutes. The lawyers laid it out with clinical precision. Based on the agreements Harrison had signed, based on the debt restructuring, based on the board votes that had happened in meetings Harrison hadn't attended because Everett told him they weren't important, control of Caldwell Industries had effectively already transferred. The final papers in front of Harrison would complete the process. He could sign them and accept a settlement of $50 million and a consultant position, or he could refuse and trigger the poison pill provisions that would bankrupt the company entirely, destroying not just Harrison but the 12,000 employees who depended on Caldwell Industries for their livelihoods. Harrison felt his heart hammering in his chest. He felt the walls closing in. He looked at the faces around the table, board members he'd known for 20 years, and saw guilt, cowardice, and greed. They'd been bought. They'd been convinced. They'd betrayed him. And the worst part, the absolutely crushing part, was that Everett was right. Harrison looked at the documents. He called his personal attorney on the phone. She reviewed the file remotely and her voice cracked when she told him, "Harrison, I'm so sorry. Based on what you've signed over the past 18 months, this is legal. You have no grounds to fight this. If you refuse to sign and trigger the provisions, the company will collapse." Harrison sat in that leather chair in the boardroom of the building he'd built, looking at the Chicago skyline through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and felt like he was drowning. Everything he'd worked for gone. Stolen. Taken by a man he'd trusted. And there was nothing he could do about it. His hands shook as he reached for the pen. He had 60 seconds to decide. Sign and lose everything with a facade of dignity, or refuse and destroy the company and every family that depended on it. 60 seconds. 59. 58. 57. And that's when the boardroom door opened. Now, to understand what happened next, you need to understand Marcus Webb. You need to understand his father Raymond. You need to understand what it means to be invisible in a place where everyone else is powerful. Raymond Webb started working as a night janitor at Caldwell Industries in 1995. He was 30 years old, a black man from the south side of Chicago, a high school graduate who'd worked construction until a back injury made the physical labor too much. Janitorial work paid the bills. It wasn't glamorous, wasn't celebrated, but Raymond took pride in it. He showed up every night at 10 p.m., cleaned the executive offices on the 47th floor, mopped the hallways, emptied the trash, and left before the executives arrived in the morning. For 30 years he did this job. He was polite when people noticed him, which wasn't often. He was invisible, the way people in service jobs are invisible to people in suits. But Raymond wasn't just a janitor. He was a father. And he had a son named Marcus who he loved more than anything in the world. Marcus's mother left when Marcus was 4. Raymond raised that boy alone, working nights, sleeping during the day when Marcus was at school, making sure Marcus had everything he needed. Raymond couldn't give Marcus money or connections or privilege, but he gave him something more valuable. He gave him books. He gave him curiosity. He gave him the example of a man who worked with dignity and never stopped learning. Marcus was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. By the time he was 10, he was reading at a college level. By the time he was 14, he'd taught himself coding, calculus, and was devouring books on law, finance, and business. He got a full scholarship to Northwestern University. He studied business and pre-law, worked 3 jobs to cover what the scholarship didn't, graduated summa cum laude, and got into Stanford Law School. But halfway through his first year, Raymond got sick. Cancer. Aggressive. The kind that moves fast and doesn't give you time. Marcus left Stanford and came home. He spent every day with his father for those final 8 months. Raymond died in March of 2024, holding Marcus's hand, telling him how proud he was, telling him not to give up on his dreams, telling him he'd been the greatest gift of Raymond's life. Marcus was devastated. He was 26 years old, alone in the world, drowning in grief and medical debt. He couldn't go back to Stanford. Couldn't afford it. Couldn't think straight. He needed work. He needed something to survive. And the only place that felt like it still had a connection to his father was Caldwell Industries. So he applied for a position in the mailroom. They hired him because they had an opening and he was overqualified and they could pay him entry-level wages. Marcus started working in the mailroom of Caldwell Industries in June of 2024, delivering mail and packages to every floor of the building, including the executive offices on the 47th floor where his father had cleaned for 3 decades. People didn't notice Marcus either. He was the mailroom kid. Invisible. Just like his father. But Marcus had his father's eyes and his father's work ethic and his father's dignity. And he had something else. 3 years of pre-law education from Northwestern and 1 year of Stanford Law. He understood contracts. He understood corporate law. He understood how language could hide intention. And Marcus noticed things. When you're invisible, you see everything. You overhear conversations. You see documents left on desks. You watch the patterns of power and deception play out in real time. Over the months working at Caldwell Industries, Marcus started noticing things about Everett Sinclair. The late-night meetings. The lawyers who visited. The way certain board members were suddenly driving new cars. The way Everett spoke to people when he thought no one was listening. Marcus didn't fully understand what was happening, but he knew something was wrong. 3 weeks before that Thursday morning in November, Marcus was delivering a package to Everett's office at 8 p.m. Everett wasn't there, but his office door was unlocked. On the desk was a stack of documents, and the top page had Harrison Caldwell's name and the words "Final Transfer Agreement." Marcus knew he shouldn't look. He knew it was none of his business. But he thought about his father cleaning these offices for 30 years, about Harrison Caldwell, who'd always been kind to Raymond, who'd come to Raymond's funeral, who'd sent flowers and a personal note. Marcus looked at the documents. He took photos with his phone. He stayed up all night reading them, cross-referencing them with corporate law textbooks he'd kept from Northwestern. And he found it. The hidden clause. The flaw. The way out. When Marcus burst through that boardroom door at the exact moment Harrison was reaching for the pen to sign away his life's work, every head in the room turned. Everett's face went red with rage. Security was already moving toward Marcus. But Harrison, exhausted and broken as he was, recognized the young man. He'd seen him delivering mail. He'd seen him at Raymond's funeral. He remembered Raymond talking about his brilliant son. "Mr. Caldwell," Marcus said, his voice shaking but clear, "please don't sign anything." "Not yet. I need 60 seconds to show you something." Everett stood up. "Get this kid out of here right now. Security. This is a private board meeting. This is..." "His father worked here for 30 years, Harrison said quietly, and his voice cut through the room like a blade. "Let him speak." 60 seconds. Marcus walked to the table. His hands were shaking. He pulled out his phone and a folder of papers he'd printed. "Mr. Caldwell, I'm Marcus Webb. My father was Raymond Webb. He was the night janitor here. I work in the mailroom now. I also spent 3 years at Northwestern studying business and pre-law and a year at Stanford Law before I had to leave. I've been watching what's been happening. I've seen the documents. And there's something they're not telling you. There's a clause in the 2023 debt restructuring agreement that invalidates this entire takeover." The room went silent. Everett's face had gone from red to white. The lawyers were looking at each other. Harrison leaned forward. "Show me," Harrison said. Marcus opened the folder. His voice steadied as he moved into the material he'd studied, the law he understood, the truth he'd found. In March of 2023, the board approved a debt restructuring agreement with Pinnacle Capital Group. That agreement is the foundation for everything they're using to take control now. But Section 7, subsection D of that agreement contains a material change of control provision. It states that if any officer of the company who signed the debt agreement attempts to execute a change of control that results in personal financial gain exceeding $10 million within 5 years of the debt agreement, the entire debt structure becomes immediately voidable and all associated agreements become null. He looked up at Everett. Everett Sinclair signed that debt agreement as chief operating officer. And the takeover you're executing right now puts $70 million directly into your pocket through the shell corporation you control. That's a material change of control with personal gain exceeding the threshold. Which means the debt agreement is voidable. Which means every contract built on top of that agreement, including the transfer documents you're trying to force Mr. Caldwell to sign right now, is invalid. The silence in that room was absolute. Harrison's attorney was pulling up the documents on her laptop, reading frantically. One of the investment bankers stood up. "That's not, we reviewed, that clause is standard boilerplate, it absolutely applies," Marcus said, and now his voice was strong, clear, the voice of someone who'd spent years training for exactly this kind of analysis. "The language is specific. The threshold is clear. And the enforcement mechanism is explicit. If Mr. Caldwell signs these papers, he's waiving his right to invoke the clause. But if he doesn't sign, if he invokes the clause instead, the entire debt agreement unwinds, all the subsequent contracts that depend on that debt structure collapse, and control of Caldwell Industries reverts to exactly where it was before any of this started." Harrison's attorney looked up. Her face was pale. "He's right. Oh my God, he's right. Harrison, don't sign. Do not sign anything." Everett exploded. This is bullshit. This is some kid from the mailroom who doesn't know what he's talking about. You can't just... Did you sign the debt agreement in March 2023? Harrison asked, his voice like iron now, strength flooding back into his body. As COO, yes, but are you receiving $70 million from this takeover? That's not relevant to answer the question. Everett's jaw clenched. The compensation structure is complex, but yes or no? The room waited. Finally, Everett spat out, yes. Harrison stood up. He looked at Marcus and there were tears in his eyes. Your father was one of the best men I ever knew. And you just saved my life. He turned to the board, to the lawyers, to Everett. This meeting is over. I'm invoking Section 7, subsection D of the March 2023 debt agreement. I'm declaring the debt structure void based on material change of control for personal gain. And I'm instructing my attorneys to begin immediate legal action against everyone in this room who participated in this fraud. He looked at Everett. You're fired. Security will escort you out. If you're in this building in 5 minutes, I'll have you arrested for trespassing. Everett's face twisted with rage and desperation. You can't do this. The board approved. The board approved fraud based on false information. Every member who voted for this will be removed. Get out of my building. The lawyers were scrambling. The investment bankers were on their phones. The board members were pale and silent. Security escorted Everett out, and his screaming could be heard all the way down the hallway. Harrison sank back into his chair, overwhelmed, shaking. Marcus stood awkwardly by the table, not sure what to do now. Harrison looked at him for a long moment, then reached out his hand. Marcus shook it. How did you find this? Harrison asked quietly. Marcus hesitated. I deliver mail to every office in this building. I see things. I heard things. I knew something was wrong. And when I saw those documents on Mr. Sinclair's desk 3 weeks ago, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My father always told me to pay attention to the details, that's where the truth lives. So I read everything. I spent every night for 3 weeks going through corporate law, checking every clause, every cross-reference. And I found it. Why did you help me? Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Because you came to my father's funeral. Because you treated him like he mattered. Because when everyone else in this building looked through him like he was invisible, you always said good morning. You remembered his name. That meant everything to him. And it means everything to me. You know, friends, I want to pause here for just a moment because this story isn't just about contracts and boardrooms and corporate takeovers. It's about something much deeper, something that matters in every single one of our lives. It's about seeing people, really seeing them. It's about recognizing that intelligence and worth and dignity have nothing to do with job titles or paychecks or corner offices. Marcus's father spent 30 years cleaning floors, and people walked past him every single day without truly seeing him. But Harrison saw him. Harrison treated him like a human being. And that simple act of decency, that basic recognition of another person's humanity, came back to save Harrison's entire life. How many people do we walk past every day without really seeing? How many brilliant minds, how many good hearts, how many stories of struggle and triumph and intelligence are invisible to us because we've been taught to measure worth by all the wrong things? I think about that a lot. I think about the people who clean our offices and deliver our packages and serve our food and fix our cars, and I wonder how many of them are like Marcus, carrying dreams and intelligence and capabilities that the world never bothers to notice. If this story is touching your heart the way it's touching mine, I'd be so grateful if you'd take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because we're building a community here of people who believe that every single person matters, that every story deserves to be heard, and that the most powerful moments in life often come from the most unexpected places. And please drop a comment below and tell me about someone in your life who was underestimated, someone who proved that intelligence and worth have nothing to do with what society tells us matters. I read every single comment, and your stories inspire everything we create here. Alright, let's get back to Harrison and Marcus because what happened next changed both of their lives forever. The aftermath of that boardroom confrontation was swift and brutal for everyone who'd participated in Everett's scheme, and transformative for everyone else. Harrison's legal team, now fully activated and armed with the evidence Marcus had uncovered, moved through the corporate structure like a surgical strike. Within 72 hours, Everett Sinclair was facing multiple lawsuits for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and conspiracy. The shell corporation he'd created was frozen by court order. The investment bankers who'd facilitated the scheme were under investigation by the SEC. 5 of the 7 board members who'd voted for the takeover were forced to resign, facing their own legal consequences for failing their fiduciary duty to shareholders. The story made national headlines. Billionaire CEO saved by mailroom worker, read the Wall Street Journal. Janitor's son exposes corporate conspiracy, declared Bloomberg. The invisible hero of Chicago, wrote the Chicago Tribune. Overnight, Marcus Webb went from invisible to unavoidable. News crews camped outside his apartment building. LinkedIn received 17,000 requests to connect with him. Law schools called offering full scholarships. Major corporations offered 6-figure positions. It was overwhelming. It was terrifying. Marcus just wanted to grieve his father in peace and figure out what to do with his life. Harrison understood that. 3 days after the boardroom confrontation, he called Marcus into his office, the real office, the one at the corner of the 47th floor with views of Lake Michigan. Marcus had never been in this office before except to deliver mail. "Sit down," Harrison said gently. "Please." Marcus sat. He was exhausted. The media attention was crushing him. Harrison saw it. "I owe you everything," Harrison said. "You saved my company. You saved 12,000 jobs. You saved my life's work. I can never repay that. But I want to try." "Mr. Caldwell, you don't owe me anything. Marcus, listen to me. Your father was my friend. I didn't realize how much until after he was gone. He was someone I looked forward to seeing, even though our conversations were brief. He told me about you constantly. He was so proud of you. And I know he wanted you to finish law school. So here's what I'm offering. Caldwell Industries will pay for the remainder of your law school education at Stanford, or any other law school you choose. Full tuition, full living expenses, full support. No strings attached. When you graduate, if you want to come work for Caldwell Industries as corporate counsel, you'll have a position waiting. If you want to do something else, you do something else. This is not a debt. This is not an obligation. This is me honoring your father and recognizing what you did for me." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I can't accept that. It's too much. It's not enough. Marcus, do you know what my company is worth? $3 billion. Do you know what you saved for me? Everything. Do you know what your father gave me over 30 years? Kindness, consistency, humanity. Let me do this, please. Let me honor him by helping you become who you're meant to be." Marcus broke down. All the grief, all the pressure, all the overwhelming weight of the past year came flooding out. Harrison came around the desk and put his hand on Marcus's shoulder, and they stayed like that for a while, 2 men from completely different worlds, connected by loss and gratitude and the memory of a good man who'd mopped floors and raised a brilliant son. Marcus went back to Stanford Law School in January of 2025. Caldwell Industries paid for everything. Marcus threw himself into his studies with renewed purpose. He wasn't just learning for himself anymore. He was learning for his father. He was learning to use his intelligence to protect people who couldn't protect themselves, to find the hidden clauses that trap people, to fight for those who are invisible. But the story doesn't end there. Because while Marcus was at Stanford, Harrison was rebuilding Caldwell Industries into something different. Something better. The near-death experience of almost losing his company changed Harrison fundamentally. He realized that he'd been so focused on growth and expansion that he'd lost sight of the people who made the company run. The workers on the manufacturing floors. The administrative assistants. The maintenance staff. The people like Raymond Webb who kept everything functioning but were never celebrated, never recognized, never truly seen. Harrison implemented sweeping changes. He restructured executive compensation so that a percentage of every bonus paid to executives was matched and distributed to hourly workers. He created an education fund that would pay for college or trade school for any child of a Caldwell Industries employee. He established a program that identified talented employees in entry-level positions and gave them pathways to management training and advancement. He started having lunch once a week with workers from different departments, learning their names, hearing their stories, understanding their lives. And he created the Raymond Webb Fellowship, a full-ride scholarship program for children of service workers, janitors, cafeteria staff, maintenance workers, security guards, to attend college or vocational training. The first year, 23 kids received the fellowship. By year 3 it was 87 kids. Kids whose parents mopped floors and drove delivery trucks and answered phones, kids with brilliant minds and no resources, suddenly had a pathway to education and opportunity. Harrison was transforming Caldwell Industries from a company focused solely on profit into a company focused on people. And the remarkable thing? Profits went up. Productivity increased. Employee retention skyrocketed. Turns out, when you treat people like they matter, when you invest in their families, when you recognize their humanity, they give you their best work. They give you their loyalty. They give you their creativity and dedication and heart. Meanwhile, Everett Sinclair's world collapsed. The legal cases against him piled up. His reputation was destroyed. The vulture capital investors who'd backed his scheme abandoned him the moment it fell apart. He ended up settling multiple civil suits that left him bankrupt. Last anyone heard, he was working as a consultant for a small firm in Tampa, bitter and diminished, a cautionary tale about what happens when greed consumes integrity. Marcus graduated from Stanford Law in 2027 at the top of his class. He was offered positions at every major law firm in the country. White shoe firms offering $500,000 a year starting salary. But Marcus remembered his conversation with Harrison. He remembered his father. He remembered who he wanted to be. He went back to Chicago. He accepted the position as Associate General Counsel at Caldwell Industries. His focus: corporate ethics and employee advocacy. His job was to make sure that what Everett Sinclair had tried to do could never happen again, and to advocate for workers throughout the company, ensuring their rights were protected and their voices were heard. On his first day back, Marcus rode the elevator up to the 47th floor. When the doors opened, Harrison was standing there waiting for him, smiling that warm smile that had always made Raymond feel seen. "Welcome home, Marcus," Harrison said. They shook hands. But then Harrison pulled him into a hug, and Marcus, who'd held so much grief for so long, let himself feel what it meant to be welcomed home by someone who'd loved his father, who'd seen value in both of them when the world had looked right through them. "Your dad would be so proud," Harrison said quietly. "I think he'd be proud of you too," Marcus said. "What you've built here. What you've changed. This is what he always believed companies could be." Over the next 3 years, Marcus and Harrison worked together to build on the changes Harrison had started. They created workplace councils that gave hourly employees direct input into company policy. They established transparent pay scales that eliminated the massive disparities between executive and worker compensation. They built partnerships with community colleges to create training pipelines for manufacturing jobs. They made Caldwell Industries into a model for how corporations could operate with both profitability and humanity. But the most important thing they did, the thing that mattered most to both of them, was this: they made sure people were seen. Every person in that company, from the CEO to the newest maintenance worker, was treated with dignity and respect. Names were learned. Stories were heard. Humanity was recognized. In 2029, Marcus was promoted to Chief Legal Officer. He was 30 years old, the youngest C-suite executive in company history. Harrison was 67, still running the company, but now with a clear succession plan that he built carefully with input from employees at every level. He was grooming Marcus not just to be CLO, but potentially to be his successor as CEO when Harrison finally retired. One evening in December of 2029, Harrison and Marcus stood together on the 47th floor, looking out at the Chicago skyline lit up with Christmas lights. They'd just finished a board meeting where they'd approved the expansion of the Raymond Webb Fellowship to include not just children of Caldwell Industries employees, but children of service workers from any company in Chicago. It would help 500 kids a year. Raymond's legacy was growing. "Do you ever think about that day?" Marcus asked quietly. "The day in the boardroom?" "Every day," Harrison said. "Every single day. It was the worst day of my life and the best day of my life all at once." "How is it the best day?" Harrison looked at him. "Because it showed me what I'd become. I'd spent so long building a company that I'd forgotten why I was building it. I'd forgotten about the people. Your father never forgot. He knew that work was about dignity, about providing for the people you love, about showing up and doing your best even when no one was watching. And you reminded me of all that. You saved more than my company, Marcus. You saved my soul." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. He would have loved seeing what you've built here. What we've built. We're building it for him. For all the Raymond Webbs out there. For all the brilliant kids in mailrooms and service jobs who deserve to be seen. They stood there in silence for a while, two men from different worlds, bound by love for a good man who'd mopped floors and raised a genius and taught both of them what really matters in life. Now, friends, I need to pause again here because there's something in this story that I think speaks to all of us, regardless of where we come from or what we do for a living. It's this: we are all one act of kindness away from changing someone's life. We are all one moment of genuine recognition away from making someone feel seen. Harrison didn't do anything extraordinary when he treated Raymond with respect. He just said good morning. He learned his name. He went to a funeral. Simple things. Human things. But those simple things mattered so much that when Harrison's entire world was collapsing, the son of the man he'd treated with kindness came to save him. I think about that ripple effect constantly. Every interaction we have, every person we encounter, we have a choice. We can look through them, treat them as invisible as part of the scenery, or we can see them. We can recognize their humanity. We can treat them with the dignity every person deserves. And we never know when that choice might come back to us in ways we can't imagine. This story is also about intelligence and worth. Marcus was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the world almost never knew it because he was the janitor's kid, the mailroom worker, invisible because of his class and his circumstances. How many Marcus Webbs are out there right now, working jobs that don't challenge their intellect, carrying capabilities the world never bothers to discover? How many potential doctors and lawyers and engineers and leaders are we losing because we've created systems that make intelligence and opportunity dependent on wealth and privilege? If this story is moving you, if it's making you think differently about the people around you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me about a time when someone saw you when you felt invisible. Tell me about someone you know who was underestimated and proved everyone wrong. And if you have ideas for other stories you'd like us to tell, stories about real human struggles and triumphs and the moments that change everything, please let me know. This community is built on your stories, your experiences, your hearts. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because we're here to tell the stories that matter, the ones about real people, real struggles, and real hope. Now let's finish Marcus and Harrison's story, because there's one more chapter you need to hear. In 2031, Harrison Caldwell announced his retirement. He was 69 years old, healthy and happy, and ready to step back after 50 years of building and leading Caldwell Industries. The question of succession had been carefully planned. The board, now composed of members who'd been selected through a transparent process that included employee input, unanimously selected Marcus Webb as the next CEO. There was some controversy, of course. Marcus was 32 years old. Some business analysts said he was too young. Some investors grumbled about his focus on workers over pure profit maximization. Some critics said it was just Harrison playing favorites, rewarding the guy who'd saved him rather than selecting based on merit. But those critics hadn't watched Marcus over the past 6 years. They hadn't seen him learn every aspect of the business, spending months in manufacturing facilities, working alongside assembly line workers, understanding every process from the ground up. They hadn't seen him negotiate with suppliers and unions with fairness and intelligence that left everyone feeling respected. They hadn't seen him transform the legal department into a force for ethical business practices that had made Caldwell Industries a model in the industry. They hadn't seen him lead with the same dignity and humanity his father had shown for 30 years mopping floors. The announcement was made in the same boardroom where Marcus had burst through the door 7 years earlier. But this time, the room was full of reporters, employees from every level of the company, and community leaders from across Chicago. Harrison stood at the front, Marcus beside him. 7 years ago, Harrison said, I was sitting in this room about to lose everything. I'd been betrayed by someone I trusted. I'd been blinded by my own exhaustion and ego. I was seconds from signing away the company I'd spent my life building. And a young man from the mailroom, the son of my friend Raymond Webb, came through that door and saved me. Not because I'd done anything particularly special for him, but because I'd done something simple. I treated his father like a human being. I'd shown basic respect and kindness. And that simple act of human decency came back to save my life's work. He paused, looking at Marcus with obvious affection. Since that day, I've watched Marcus Webb become one of the most remarkable leaders I've ever known. He's brilliant, compassionate, ethical, and deeply committed to building a company that serves not just shareholders, but every person who walks through our doors, from executives to maintenance staff. He understands that a company is only as strong as the people who build it, and he spent 6 years proving that when you invest in people, when you treat them with dignity, when you recognize their worth, everyone wins. Profits are up 42% since we started these reforms. Employee retention is at 96%. Innovation is at an all-time high. And most importantly, 12,000 families go to bed every night knowing they work for a company that values them. That's Marcus's doing. That's his vision. That's his father's legacy living on. Harrison turned to the crowd. So it is my absolute honor and privilege to announce that Marcus Webb will become CEO of Caldwell Industries effective January 1, 2032. And I can't imagine leaving this company in better hands. The room erupted in applause. Employees were crying. Marcus stood there, overwhelmed, thinking about his father, wishing more than anything that Raymond could be there to see this moment. But in a way he was. Everything Marcus had become, everything he believed, everything he fought for came from the man who'd raised him, who'd worked nights to give him a better life, who'd taught him that dignity isn't about what you do but who you are. Marcus stepped forward to speak. His voice was steady now, stronger than it had been that terrifying day 7 years ago when he'd burst through the boardroom door with shaking hands and a folder of documents. I stand here today because my father spent 30 years mopping floors in this building, Marcus said. He was invisible to most people. But he saw everything. He understood everything. And he taught me that work isn't about the title you hold or the money you make. It's about showing up with integrity, treating people with respect, and leaving things better than you found them. My father did that every single night for 3 decades. Harrison Caldwell honored my father by seeing him, by treating him like he mattered. And when Harrison needed help, I could give it because my father had taught me to pay attention, to value learning, to never assume that power and intelligence are the same thing. He looked at Harrison. Thank you for seeing my father. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for building something worth saving. I promise you, I promise every person in this room, and I promise my father's memory, that I will lead this company with the same values he lived by. Every person here matters. Every voice deserves to be heard. Every family deserves dignity. And we will prove, every single day, that you can build a successful, profitable, powerful company while treating people like human beings. The applause was deafening. And in that moment, Marcus felt his father's presence, felt his pride, felt the completion of a journey that had started in a South Side apartment where a janitor raised a brilliant son and taught him that worth has nothing to do with what the world thinks you are. Over the next 5 years, under Marcus's leadership, Caldwell Industries became not just profitable but transformative. The Raymond Webb Fellowship expanded nationally, helping over 2,000 children of service workers attend college every year. The company's workplace council model was adopted by dozens of other corporations. Marcus testified before Congress about ethical corporate governance and worker rights. He was featured in Forbes, Fortune, and Time as one of the most innovative CEOs in America. But he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the mailroom. He never forgot his father's hands, worn and calloused from 30 years of hard work. Every year on the anniversary of Raymond's death, Marcus took the day off. He didn't go to board meetings or investor calls. He went to his father's grave on the South Side and sat there for hours, telling Raymond about the company, about the lives they were changing, about the kids getting scholarships, about the workers who were thriving. And every year he ended the same way. I hope I'm making you proud, Dad. I hope you can see what we're building. I hope you know that everything good I do is because of what you taught me. Harrison retired fully in 2033, but he and Marcus stayed close. They had dinner once a month, 2 men who'd saved each other in different ways, who'd learned that the most important things in life have nothing to do with boardrooms and balance sheets and everything to do with seeing people, honoring their humanity, and recognizing that intelligence and worth are everywhere if you're willing to look. In 2036, Caldwell Industries celebrated its 55th anniversary. The company employed 18,000 people across 23 countries. It was worth over $5 billion. But more importantly, it had helped over 8,000 children attend college through the Raymond Webb Fellowship. It had pioneered ethical workplace practices that had improved the lives of hundreds of thousands of workers. It had proven that you could build wealth and power while treating people with dignity. At the anniversary celebration held in the lobby of the Caldwell Industries Tower, there was a new addition, a bronze statue. It showed a man in janitorial uniform standing tall and proud, holding a mop in one hand and a book in the other. The plaque read, Raymond Webb, 1965 to 2024. Night janitor, devoted father, and the foundation upon which this company's values were built. He taught us that every person matters, every job has dignity, and the most powerful thing you can give someone is respect. This company stands on his shoulders. Marcus stood in front of that statue on the day it was unveiled, and he broke down crying. Harrison was beside him, his arm around Marcus's shoulders, both of them honoring the man who'd connected them, who'd taught them what really matters. He would have been embarrassed by this, Marcus said through his tears. He would have said it was too much, that he was just doing his job. That's exactly why he deserves it, Harrison said. Because he never asked for recognition. He just showed up every night and did his best. And he raised you to do the same. Raymond Webb changed this company more than anyone else ever will. He just did it through you. They stood there together, looking at the statue as employees and visitors walked through the lobby. And something beautiful happened. People stopped. They looked at the statue. They read the plaque. And they saw Raymond Webb. Really saw him. The janitor who'd been invisible for 30 years was now impossible to ignore, his legacy written in bronze and in the lives of thousands of people he'd never meet but whose lives were better because of the son he'd raised and the values he'd instilled. That's the thing about invisibility. It's never permanent. It's only invisibility if we choose not to see. But when we choose to look, when we choose to recognize the humanity in every person regardless of their job or their circumstances, when we choose to honor the intelligence and worth that exists in unexpected places, we don't just change individual lives. We change the world. Marcus Webb became one of the most successful CEOs of his generation. He was interviewed by major media outlets, invited to speak at business schools, asked to serve on presidential advisory councils. But he never forgot who he was or where he came from. He kept a photo of his father on his desk, Raymond in his janitor's uniform, smiling that warm smile that had gotten him through 30 years of night shifts. And whenever Marcus faced a difficult decision, whenever he was tempted to choose profit over people or power over principle, he looked at that photo and asked himself, what would Dad do? The answer was always the same. Show up with integrity. Treat people with respect. Leave things better than you found them. Simple principles. The kind a janitor would understand. The kind that changed everything. In 2040, at the age of 41, Marcus was invited to give the commencement address at Stanford Law School, the school he'd left in grief 9 years earlier and returned to in hope. He stood before 1,000 graduates and their families, and he told them the story you've just heard. He told them about his father, about Harrison, about the boardroom, about the hidden clause, about building a company on the values of a man who mopped floors. And he ended with this: you are graduating from one of the most prestigious law schools in the world. You are brilliant. You are accomplished. You have earned your place here. But I want you to remember something. Intelligence isn't distributed based on privilege or education or opportunity. Intelligence is everywhere. Brilliance exists in places we're taught not to look. The person who cleans your office might have a mind that could solve problems you never imagined. The person who serves your food might have insights that could change your life. The person you walk past without seeing might be the person who saves you when everything falls apart. So I'm asking you, as you go out into the world with all your intelligence and education and opportunity, to use your power to see people, to recognize worth in unexpected places, to build systems that give everyone a chance to show what they're capable of, to honor the janitors and the mailroom workers and the invisible people who make the world function. Because I promise you, if you do that, if you build your life and your career on the principle that every person matters, you won't just be successful. You'll be worthy of success. You'll be the kind of person my father would have been proud to know. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. And in the front row, Harrison Caldwell, now 78 years old and retired but still strong, stood and clapped until his hands hurt, proud of the young man he'd watched become a leader, proud of the friend he'd lost too soon, proud of everything they'd built together. This is where our story ends, friends, but in another way it never ends at all. Because the truth this story tells us, that every person has worth, that intelligence exists everywhere, that kindness creates ripples we can't imagine, that truth keeps going. It lives in every interaction we have, every choice we make about how to treat the people around us, every moment we decide whether to see someone or look right through them. I think about Marcus and Harrison and Raymond often. I think about how close Harrison came to losing everything, and how the son of the man he'd shown simple kindness to became the person who saved him. I think about Marcus, brilliant and grieving and working in a mailroom, invisible to everyone except the person who mattered. I think about Raymond, mopping floors for 30 years, raising a genius son, never knowing that his legacy would transform a billion-dollar company and help thousands of families. Their story reminds me that we never know the impact we're having. We never know when a simple act of respect, a moment of genuine recognition, a choice to treat someone with dignity, might come back to us in ways that change everything. And we never know what brilliance we're missing when we choose to look through people instead of at them. So here's what I'm asking you from my heart to yours. Tomorrow when you go about your day, look at the people around you. Really look at them. The person who cleans your building. The person who delivers your packages. The person who checks you out at the grocery store. See them. Learn their name. Say thank you and mean it. Recognize their humanity. Because they're not invisible. They're people with stories and struggles and dreams and capabilities that might surprise you. And you never know. One of them might be the person who changes your life or whose life you'll change by simply choosing to see them. And if this story has touched you, if it's made you feel something or think differently about the world, I'd be so grateful if you'd share your thoughts with us in the comments. Tell me about someone who was invisible to the world but visible to you. Tell me about a time when kindness came back to you in unexpected ways. Tell me about the Raymond Webbs and the Marcus Webbs in your own life. This community is built on real stories, real hearts, real human connection. That's what matters. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the stories we're creating. We're here to tell the stories that matter, the ones about real people facing real struggles and finding real hope. The ones that remind us of our shared humanity. The ones that make us better people by helping us see what really matters in life. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring about stories like this one. And thank you for being the kind of person who sees other people, who recognizes worth in unexpected places, who knows that the most powerful thing any of us can do is treat each other with dignity and respect. Go out there and be someone's Harrison Caldwell. Be someone who sees people. Because you never know, you might be creating the next Marcus Webb, the next brilliant mind who changes the world because someone took the time to recognize their humanity. Until next time, friends, take care of each other. And remember, everyone matters. Everyone.